Hi, this is Larry London, and we welcome you to the Voice of America. Welcome to Border Crossings. Today, we have a very special guest. She's a country music superstar. She's much more than that, a movie actress and a very well-liked, loved person in the country world of music and pop music. Lauren Alaina joins us. And Lauren, welcome to the Voice of America.
Thank you so much.
It's great to have you back on. You were on the show a few years ago when you had just put out the song that you had released at that time with Kane Brown, which ultimately went up to #1.
Yeah.
And you were talking about going to school with Kane and how you guys grew up together.
Yeah, what a small world, isn't it? It's just the most random story ever. We were in middle school chorus class together and then both ended up in Nashville, and then we recorded that song together just because we were friends, and it changed. It was his first #1, my second #1. And we actually just found out that it's 6 times platinum.
Wow. Congrats. Come, I guess that's good chemistry there.
Yeah, I just actually got my third #1 with Hardy and Devin Dawson. So I'm on a roll with these duets.
You are. It seems, I don't know what it is, but right now everything seems to be collaborations in music. It's all, for whatever reason.
We're all so far apart that we're like, can we get together through music?
Now, speaking of being far apart, you did something that not too many people get to do, and that's play the Grand Ole Opry to an empty house.
That was one of the most amazing and crazy moments of my life. The Opry means so much to me. I grew up thinking it was this like magical, unattained, like unreachable place, because my father dreamed of playing banjo there from the time he was a little kid. And so my dad just kind of told me all about the Grand Ole Opry, and I got to debut there when I was 16, which is so crazy. And my dad was side stage sobbing, obviously so proud. And he's actually played there with me a few times, but it was definitely a different experience playing there with no people.
Mm-hmm.
And I will tell you, it is that magical, unreachable place, except I somehow tricked people into letting me reach it. And I will say I don't really get nervous performing. I'd love to be on stage. It's my safe place, which is, I don't know why I feel the most comfortable on stage. But when I play the Grand Ole Opry, I'm a bundle of nerves because that room holds so much history. And all of my favorites have played there and all of the greats have played there. So I get nervous every single time. And I didn't know if it was the crowd or what. It's not, it's the building because there were no people in there. And I still got that same feeling of butterflies and of magic. And that room is just incredible. The sound is unlike any other venue in the world, even with no people, almost even more with no people, because it just was like ringing through the whole house. And it was just amazing. If it's just your rebel heart, riding the battle, don't be afraid. Take the road less traveled, wear out your boots, kick up the gravel. Don't be afraid. Take the road less traveled on. Oh, 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 oh. Take the road less traveled on.
Are you superstitious? I mean, when you were there, did you feel the presence of all the greats who have actually been on that stage?
I don't. I think I might have like a touch of superstition. I'm not a super superstitious person, but you do. You can't walk out on that stage and not feel the presence of.
Right. Tammy Wynette and Hank Williams and all the people who've been on that stage.
Yes, and I've got to be side stage watching so many amazing people. It's like breathtaking every time.
Now, speaking of superstition, do you have any routines that you like to go through before you go on stage? What's your must do before you step out onto the stage?
I have a handshake with everyone in my band and crew. So we all have individual handshakes. I think I have the hardest part because I have to remember them all. They all have to remember one. I have like 20 handshakes I have to remember. But we do them. We get in a line, and I don't know when we're going to be able to do a handshake again because we're not even allowed to do a regular handshake at this point.
Right.
But we do handshakes, and then we do a group prayer before the show.
Now you're a religious person, right? You're a very religious person. You did some readings, I believe, on a program not too long ago.
Yeah, I'm hosting. I think this is probably what you're talking about. I'm hosting Jesus Calling as a book.
Yep.
and it's like a daily devotional. And
Mm-hmm.
I love it. I think it's wonderful. And Jesus Calling called me and asked me to do their podcast, and it went really, really well. And I told my story of faith and all the things that come with that, the ups and downs and all of the questions and all of it, because
Yes.
that is what your walk with faith, if it's
Mm-hmm.
something important to you, has many different it's different at all at different times. But I told my story and it established this relationship with them. And then I hosted their new TV show on Circle Network that is called Jesus Calling Stories of Faith. So I got to help other people tell their stories of faith. And it was just for this, for 2020, it was so nice to do that, to be able
Yes.
to hear how people have overcome adversity and things in their lives that tripped them up and stripped them of their faith. And I've had plenty of moments like that in
Yes.
my
Yes.
life, and just to hear other people and how they navigated through that and how they recentered themselves was just really nice to be a
Mm-hmm.
part of that.
Yeah. The last time you were on, we talked about some of the personal struggles that you and your family have encountered, and of course, you've managed to turn that into a very positive thing, and you're using a great platform that you have now with all these people who you've become a role model and an inspiration for so many. How are you handling this unique challenge that we have here, which is a business that relies on interaction with the fans, but yet you can't?
Definitely had to adapt. I'm a people person, so a quarantine is like, I am the worst person for a quarantine, but I definitely understand that, like, it's a necessity right now. It's something that we all kind of have to get on board with and do for
Mhm.
the safety of ourselves and our families and of others. So it's been really challenging to try to navigate that, but I think my team and I have done a really great job of trying to get to still connect with people. We've done live stream shows. I did a thing called Lauren with Tico. What do you think of when you think of me? When you look back on us, what do you see? Is it the good times? Is it the bad times? Is it somewhere in between? What do you think of when you think of me? Because I had 2 EPs come out in 2020. And normally when new music comes out, you're on the road, you're performing those songs and you're connecting with people. And March came along and the whole world shut down.
Yep.
So I have been doing acoustic performances with my guitar player to still show the fans live versions of the songs. And I've done some volunteer work. I got to actually load earlier this year. My charity, My Kind of People, is like an umbrella foundation. So we partner with other foundations and help raise awareness for their causes and money for them. And I got to partner with the charity in Nashville called Music Feeds Nashville, and we raised money for groceries, and we put groceries into people's trunks, and we could see them. We couldn't really touch them, and we could kind of talk to them through the window. But being able to do things like that and still trying to find ways of giving back and connecting with people has been super important for me this year, just as like for my soul and who I am as a person, because who I am as a person is not a couch potato.
But 2020 has been a very, very big year for Lauren Alaina. I mean, you've had your, as you mentioned, your third #1 song, and you've got 2 EPs. And of course, working on a new album as well. But the new EP is called Getting Over Him. So tell me about Getting Over Him. I know you were in a relationship. You're not in a relationship. Is that connected to your own personal life or no? Is there no connection or what?
So I wrote all of the songs on the first and second EP that came out this year. With the exception of Getting Good. I believe the song Getting Good was on because I named the EP Getting Good. So 100% that song was on there. So that's the only song in years that I cut that I didn't write. But the second EP, Getting Over Him, definitely very personal to me. I went through 2 pretty public breakups. I'm going to tell you a few things I learned about that.
Okay.
No more public relationships. We're done with that. I'm not Instagramming any boyfriends. We're going to move on from that. But I also learned that relationships are important, even if they end, because I wrote these songs about it. And I've been connecting with people through them, so it was worth it to me.
Mhm.
But yes, that definitely was inspired. The second EP was definitely inspired by an individual that will remain, we won't name him, but
He knows
very
who he is.
very inspiring guy.
But you know, it's got to be difficult for a guy, for somebody who's not in the music business, to date somebody who is a songwriter, because you're really taking a big risk that if things don't go well, there's going to be something on the radio about
Hey,
you.
well, they run the risk. They run the risk.
Well, you are absolutely gorgeous. And I know that you had done a film, you know, right after American Idol, which I can't believe is almost 10 years ago. If you look back 10 years since you were on American Idol and you put out your first album, been a
Yes,
long time. That time has gone by so quickly. But you did a movie. Are there any other movies that you did Dancing with the Stars too? But you know, is that something you'd like to do more of?
yes, I am actually shooting a movie in 2021. I can't
Wow.
share very many details about it, but I am something I fell in love with it when I did the first movie, and I've done a couple of like I was on the show Nashville a couple of times doing smaller things, and yeah, I'm shooting a movie next year. I was supposed to shoot it this year,
Right.
but obviously everything happened and everything got pushed back. So fingers crossed that we'll get to do that mid next year and hopefully get that out for people.
Tell me a little bit about the movie, whatever, to the extent you can tell me. What do you play? What's kind of the story in the movie?
So I don't really know if I can share a ton, but the character that I'm playing is very similar to myself. Our lives are very, very different, but she's a Southern girl. It's a good fit for me. So I feel like even though she's completely different than me in her lifestyle and her career and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
I identify with the character a lot. And she's got a really spunky personality. So I'm excited to portray her and hopefully do her justice and connect with people in a different way, you know, as me playing someone else.
Right, right. Do you ever do that when you go on stage? I know Beyonce once mentioned she has an alter ego. When you go out, do you have anybody you transform into so you can do things that Lauren Alaina wouldn't normally do?
No, I really think that me on stage is just a bigger version of who I am all the time. It's just like a more energetic because I'm feeding off of thousands of people. I think it's just me. But like if the Energizer Bunny was standing there next to me.
Mm. You got a lot of energy and you're always a positive, upbeat person. And
I
I
try,
know that,
not always.
no, really?
Usually in my Zoom interviews.
People like Martina McBride and Jason Aldean, and you were on tour with Blake Shelton when, you know, things came to an end. What's the plan for 2021 in addition to the film? Are you going to resume that tour? Are you going to go on a different tour? What's the plan?
I don't think there's a plan to resume that tour with Blake. That was my second tour with him. So we toured the year before as well on that same tour, which was the Friends and Heroes tour.
Mm-hmm.
So it was with Trace Atkins, John Anderson, and the Bellamy brothers. And it was amazing. I learned so much from that tour. But we were almost finished with it. There were only a few dates left. Luckily, we almost got through the whole thing before everything shut down. So I don't think there are plans to resume that. Honestly, so much is kind of up in the air right now, just because we don't really know when we're going to actually be able to get back out there. But we are booking shows in hopes that they will happen in the summer. And then we're trying to figure out a plan for the fall. But like I said, it's kind of hard to plan for the unknown. So
Mm-hmm.
we're planning, but we're also waiting.
And what's happening with the next album? I read that you're working that and you've got a few more songs to finish on it. What's happening with the album?
I'm wrapping it up now. I'm still writing for it. So I've been writing a ton on Zoom, which has been a completely different experience because typically you're in person, but we can't really do that right now. So I've been writing on Zoom, trying to finish up the album, figure out creative behind the album, what I want to name it. Hopefully we're going to get in the studio in the first few months of next year to finish up the album and get it out next year. Definitely. So,
And when you find that you've got the credentials that you've got now, I mean, as time has gone on, 3 number one songs and all the platinum records you put out, 6 million certified hit, sales with the song.
It is also, you were correct. 6 times a million was actually also accurate because that would be 6 million.
6 million. Let's see math. That's 6 times
Math
platinum.
is hard. Hey.
Just 4 more million and you're at a diamond status. But when you get those credentials now, do you find that you get more control over your music, over your production? Do they? What's changed for you when you get to that number one status? What changes?
I think I have a really good team who's always kind of trusted me creatively. I think the thing that's changed the most for me is trusting myself more and feeling a little more confident in what I do and knowing that whatever we've been doing has been working. So I just need to continue to do that and believe in it and work hard and
Mm-hmm.
trust.
Tremendously talented songwriter and singer, performer. I'm looking forward to your film, and the new EP is out. New albums coming. You got a lot going on in your life, and you're also, I guess, you were a guest on a cooking show, so you like to do cooking shows.
I do. I like to cook a lot. I went on Trisha Yearwood's cooking show, which that story is so amazing. I met her backstage at an award show. We were performing together with a group of girls and we shared a dressing room and we got to talking about how much we love food. And I said, I can't wait to get out of here because for whatever reason, after a red carpet, I decided it's okay for me to go eat a double cheeseburger. So I was talking about how it is like my ritual after the award shows to get fast food, which I never eat fast food, but after the award shows, I'm like, you know what I want? McDonald's. So we were talking about, and she said that she does the exact same thing. And we just got to chatting and we have very similar personalities. And she's even funnier than me. She's very funny. And she said I should come on her show and we could recreate fast food recipes. So we did.
Wow.
And when I was there, I'll never forget this as long as I live. She sang my single Getting Good to me while we were in the kitchen cooking. And I was like, Trisha Yearwood just sang my song to me. What just happened? And then when we were leaving, as we were walking past her Grammy, just casually sitting on the counter, she was like, if you ever want to do a song together, call me, let me know. And she got my phone number and she saved my name in her phone as Junior because she calls me Trisha Junior, which I love. And so about 2 weeks later, I worked up the nerve and I called her and said, hey, about that collaboration that you said you'd want to do, would you want to do a version of Getting Good? So she got into the studio and recorded Getting Good. And in this year, which has been such a trying year, I got to release a song with one of my heroes, which was so crazy and amazing.
Wow. Who are your heroes? I mean, who do you look up to other than Trisha Yearwood? Who inspires Lauren Alaina?
I would say my ultimate, like, number one hero is Dolly Parton. She's
Yes.
She's a pretty easy person to pick because I love so many things about her. Something that I've learned to appreciate, I kind of made a joke about it earlier, but the way she's handled her husband. You never see him.
Right.
Kept her private life private, which I think when you first do what we do, you want to share all of yourself all of the time to connect to people. But also, I interviewed her once, Dolly, and she said, remember that you're a brand and some of the parts of your real self you can say for yourself. So I love that about her. I love how she gives back. She pretty much owns an entire community over there, Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, and Gatlinburg. It is like an outdoor circus everywhere you go or something. It's a fantastic, like a fair everywhere. Wow. I love it. I go and get my airbrush t-shirts once a year probably. And I just think she's charming and kind. She gives back. She makes undeniable music. She's written like over 3,000 songs in her life, I think. She's just, everything about, she's acted, she's done it all. And she's maintained the reputation of being kind. And I think at the end of the day, she's Dolly Parton. If she didn't want to be kind, she probably could get away with it, but she is. And I love that about her.
Mm-hmm. Now you do a song with her?
If I could, 100%.
Yeah.
I'd just quit after that. Y'all don't ever want me to sing with Dolly because I'd just be like, I can retire.
As our guest here on The Voice of America, and Getting Over Him is the name of her second EP this past year. And she's got a lot going on her plate. And how about a tour around the world? Is that part of the plan? Because I know you're huge all around the world. You were in the Philippines. You've done, many different countries. You performed sellout crowds everywhere you go. What are you thinking about international touring for the future?
Yeah, I did a tour in Europe last year, which was so mind-blowing to me to see how far my music has reached. And we get these little things, updates at the end of the year of the different countries that our music is played. And I think my my like wrap up of the year said I was played in 92 countries this year. And I'm like, well, I haven't been to that many, so I better get busy when we can get back to touring. I've got some places that are listening that I need to go visit.
Are the fans different when you perform out of the US? I mean, do you notice a difference?
You know what? The European tour was very different than an American tour. They're like a really, really polite crowd. Not that American crowds aren't polite, but they're like so enthralled with everything you say. I think it may also have something to do with the fact that I have a very strong Southern accent and I sound completely different than all of them. But they know that every word to every song, no matter if it's like a deep cut on the album that's never been a single, they know them all. And I think just because they don't get to see us very often, we only go over there every once in a while, they're really into it. So yeah, the shows are different, but I think music is music and shows are shows. Every crowd's different everywhere you go, but they have accents, which is nice. The meet and greet sounded different. And, but when they sing, you can't hear their accent at all. No. So they sound the same when they're singing.
No, that's true. I've always asked about that. British people, when they sing, it's an American accent. It's kind of different. But I know if you travel around the world, you're going to have to rent a big giant van to carry all those clothes behind you. Are you at home right now?
I am. I have a room in my house dedicated to clothing.
I see. My goodness.
You know what's so sad? I've worn all of these clothes, but then like, if you're on for a big event, you can't really wear them again. And I don't want to throw them away. So I'm like, I'm 26 and I live alone. I am making that room a closet.
I love it. I love it. You're a lot of fun. And I know you've got nothing but interviews lined up to talk about the new EP and how wonderful it's going for you and everything. But when you come back to DC, promise me you'll come in the studio so we can have you on in our studios.
I will. I'll come by and see you.
I would love that. Thank you for doing this again for us. This is the second time we've had you on. You're always a pleasure to talk to. Lauren Alaina, and the EP is called Getting Over Him. Now, where can people find you on the internet? Give us your social media sites and your website.
My Instagram is at Lauren Alaina, LaurenAlaina. And Facebook is that too. Twitter, there's a girl out there also named Lauren Alaina, by the way, and she took Twitter before me. So she's walking around very proudly with that handle. My name on Twitter is at Lauren_Alaina. So you got to put the little underscore in there. But look for the blue check mark. I run all of my socials. So I do them all myself. I'm very punny. I come up with punny captions for everything. So if people like plays on like word plays, play on word. Wow, I just messed up telling you I'm great with words by telling you when I was telling you I'm great with words. So don't you love that? But I run all the pages myself. So I really enjoy it. And it is a way for me to connect. So if people would like to connect with me, that's how to do it.
Well, I'm looking forward to the album when it comes out and the new EP that's out now and all your great music. And I know you won't be single very long. So I'm looking forward to hearing lots of great things from you in the future. And of course, seeing the new film when it does come out.
Well, no, I didn't say I was single. Just kidding.
Oh, thank you, Lauren Alaina, for joining us.
Thank you. Bye.
I appreciate it. Lauren Alaina, our guest here on Border Crossings. Thanks for tuning in.